My name is Bainz. I am a mixer and engineer. I've been doing this professionally since about 2008. I'm from India originally, by way of New York City. I grew up in New Delhi in India. I spent a lot of time between New Delhi, where I grew up, and London. A lot of my family was in London, so I would spend a lot of time in London. Eventually, I ended up moving to Australia. Went to Melbourne, Australia, did a little stint at SAE over there, after which I was like, okay, I really want to do this music thing. I went to Full Sail, spent about 2 years over there. I did recording arts and music business, after which I moved to New York City. Was in New York City for about 8 years, worked at a few different studios, set up my own studio. And after a while, I realized that all of my friends, once they had their first big record, they'd end up leaving the city and moving to LA. So eventually I had to follow suit, and there was no turning back after that. I've always gravitated to music since a young age. I think the first thing that I really did musically was I DJ'd for a while. When it actually came down to instruments and stuff, I realized that I just didn't have it. I tried multiple times, didn't work out. So I realized if I can't be a rock star, might as well work with them. I was always the guy who would do the technical stuff or get the technical shit together, and I think that's what made me realize, okay, cool, I could see a career in this. I ended up going to Full Sail, and I did really well over there. I was valedictorian, graduated with a 4.0 GPA, and I was like, okay, cool, this is something for the first time in my life I'm actually good at, so let me explore this. And it's, ever since then, I've done this every day of my life. No, I can fake my way through through the keyboard. And when I say fake my way, I can tell what key a song is after struggling. But no, I don't play any instruments. I have done some production stuff, and Thug's actually gotten on some of the records I've produced. When I did spend some time and I really started producing, it was a couple of months that I got really into it, and my mixing career at the same time just started going crazy. I started getting a lot of records. And that was something that I had, it's been my dream to be a mix engineer my whole life. And when that started going crazy, I was like, okay, I really need to pick. I can't just do everything. So I decided to focus all my time and energy on mixing records. Like, it wasn't something that I fell into. I very early knew that, I found out what recording engineering was. I mean, what audio engineering was. I didn't even know what it entailed, but I knew that I wanted to be an audio engineer. There's a lot of people you meet that they start making music, producing, learn a dot. It just, engineering kind of just happens, or it's a means to an end. Nah, for me, I knew that this is what I wanted to be and what I wanted to do for the rest of my life. I'm professionally taught. I went to audio school. I went to SAE in Melbourne, Australia, after which I went to Full Sail in Florida. Even though I did have a formal education, I mean, you learn everything on the job, everything that, I learned the technical concepts and how to, calculate lengths of waveforms and how to, solder stuff and signal flow and all of that stuff. Yeah, I definitely did get the basics from audio school. But everything that you use on a daily basis that I learned on the job in those first few months on the internship, and then the first few months as an engineer, and then you keep learning new stuff every day. So it's just one of those things that where you got to just keep adapting and keep growing and keep learning the new technology, and new software comes out. There's new ways to do things. I'm definitely a nerd like that. I like to stay in touch with everything and just be on top of it. That's one of the things that I always wish I came up under a big mix engineer or someone, but I did not. The studio I was working at, yeah, I did. I was an intern, and I probably assisted on some sessions and stuff, but really quick, they were like, oh, okay, cool, you can engineer. We're building another room. Now you're in that room. And that room became Atlantic Records writing room. I did a lot of writing sessions for a lot of big artists with a lot of big writers, and writers work really quick. That's where I learned how important speed is. And till today, that's definitely one of my strong suits, being a fast, attentive engineer. Not just fast, but good and fast. There are not that many people, at least back then they weren't. And then, now that's the thing. Like, the people move a lot quicker. I've noticed with artists, when you're working with them, their creative process, they like to get their creativity out really quick. And whatever you do, whatever technical stuff you do in between, or whatever, that just slows them down. So you just have to move as quick as possible so to get their idea out. Once that's done, then it's your time to shine. That's when you have fun. That's when you try all these crazy effects and stuff like that. But when it actually comes down to it, and like the way we work, the process, it's very involved. It's not just just letting an artist sing and a bunch of times and then comping. It's on bar by bar. They're doing it half a bar pre-roll. Next one, you fly it. They do the bar 15 times. You get the last one. You might take a section of the last one and a section from here. All of this is happening without any communicating. Like they'll just look like at where it is, and you need to know. So you kind of like are in their head, and you kind of become one with the whole process. When I first started, as like you're really mixing, not mixing, I would take like over 8, 10, 12 hours, come back the next day, mix version 29, like, just keep making small tweaks every day, try something, then undo that. Now I'm way more decisive. Like this Big X record that we did, I probably spent maybe 2 hours in total on it, maybe less than that. I mean, there wasn't much going on in the record. It just depends on the record. Nowadays, I definitely spend less time than I did in the past, and that's just because I'm a little more decisive with what I do. Really quick, like I had a grasp of how to make things sound good. So even when I listen to some of my old records, I'm like, oh, these actually sounded pretty good. Now to work with an artist at the caliber that everyone has heard, maybe 4 years into it, I worked with some relatively big artists, and then maybe, I think I met Thug when I was like 9 years into my career, 8, 9 years, and then I became like his like point person. And then with him, it became the whole label that he has. It's been 6, 7 years since then. So I've been with him exclusively since then. And, through him working out with a lot of people in the industry because of that. I think there've been many turning points in my career. Earlier on, I'd say when I moved to LA, or when I did the Jay Sean album, or when I started working with, Benny Blanco's crew, my friend Robopop, who at the time had done Lana Del Rey video games. We did a lot of records together, worked with One Direction, Lily Allen. Even like I'd worked with Thug for about 2 years before anything came out. I think the changing point where everyone kind of knew who I was when his album So Much Fun came out. And because I had done every song on the album, recorded, and they ended up going with my mixes on a lot of them, that's when I was like, oh, wow. And that was a very defining moment for him, for me, for everyone. That album is what I'm most proud of, just because of how long it took to work on it. Did I spend a lot of time mixing those records? Hell no. Most of them were roughs. But that was a defining moment, and everyone knew who I was because of that record. And then because he's such an iconic person in the studio, there was a picture of him and Chief Keef and me sitting next to on the computer. And if you type in the studio meme, that's what shows up. There's a lot of people that know who I am because of that meme, which is pretty crazy. But record-wise, I would say So Much Fun was a big one for me. And then Slime Language too. I was the most proud of that one because with that record, I had obviously recorded everything, but I'd mixed every record. And if I didn't personally mix it, there was a few records on that I didn't personally mix. I was picking who would go to. Like my buddy Sean mixed some, Alex Tomei mixed. I was making sure that every engineer that's part of the crew got a certain record to work on. Flo and me worked on a bunch of them as well together. So that album was very, very special to me because there was so many artists on it, so many big artists. Like I'm getting to work with Travis Scott's vocals, I'm getting to work with Future's vocals, I'm getting to work with just everyone in the industry. There's Savage on there, there's obviously Thug and Gunna were a big part of it. And everything is coming to me. Like last minute, we're getting Drake's vocals sent, we're getting all this stuff. So that album to me was a really important one, Slime Language too. So Much Fun was my first complete album I've worked on that went #1, and it was a moment. Everyone was talking about Thug, like a real big moment for us, and just to do that collectively with the whole team, everyone's energy changed. Like it was something we were really proud of, and we just kept working. We didn't slow down at all. It was after that there was the Gunna album we worked on, and the compilation album, then another Gunna album, then Thug's album. It was we just never stopped working. And that energy just carried on. It was really awesome. And every album since then has been, like it's a moment in time. I feel like there's all these, we pour so much energy into it and so much time and effort, and then it's out there for the world, and you're like, okay, cool. It's like something you've like given birth to and you've like worked on, And again, it's the art. It's all the artists. It's like I'm just blessed that I get to work with such talented artists. I'm constantly updating what I use, getting new plugins, finding out what other people are doing, upgrading my studio. Still, like I don't change the main stuff too often because like my mix bus stuff kind of stays the same. But like I might get a new piece of gear that I try out, or a new plugin that someone's talked about, or even a new technique. I might pick up a new technique. I try not to watch too many instructional videos from other people. Like I'll find a plugin, I'll find something, and I'll try to use it myself because I don't want to be informed by someone else's technique. I don't want that to blend in, and I want to develop a technique for myself. And I tend to do that a lot. Like I'll try to, like I might take a tip or something from someone else and incorporate that into my own workflow, but I won't blatantly just copy everything just because I wanted to have my own sonic signature on it. And a lot of that comes from just playing around with it and just, using it in ways that are unique to you. And again, the source material dictates what you're going to go, what you're going to do, and where you're going to go with it. I will read articles, watch videos, and just like more importantly, I'll see what new gear and new plugins and new software comes out, or what new technology is coming out. Like, over the past few years, SoundFlow has been huge in my process. Just because I like automating things. I like, if there's something that can be automated, I would want to do that. I'm the guy that drives an all-electric car. I have autopilot. Anything that can make my life easier, I'm all for it. I'd say somewhere in the middle. There's a happy space that exists in the middle. I think you don't really need a console, but it's nice to have that analog flavor. So I'd say analog digital hybrid, right in the middle. That's the sweet spot I live in. There is no other DAW besides Pro Tools. There's only one DAW. There's beat making software, stuff like that. But really, we're talking real world stuff here. If you're not using Pro Tools, we're not even in the conversation. I started as a tracking engineer. I have grown to be a mix engineer. I hadn't recorded for about 2.5 years, and I just went back to recording again, only for one artist, only for Thug. In the time he was gone, I recorded one more artist. It was a really big Punjabi artist from India, and I wanted to develop a personal relationship with him. He's the biggest artist out of India, but biggest artist in that genre ever. He's doing stadium tours all over the world, and he reached out to me and he wanted to work with me. So I didn't want to be like, oh, I just mix. I was like, sure, I'll do the whole project. I'll record it and mix it. But for the most part, besides Thug, I'm not recording anymore. I'm only mixing. Thug, I have a special connection and I owe him a lot. So I'm gonna always do whatever he wants for me. My favorite part of the job will always be mixing. I'm a mixer. I enjoy being creative. I enjoy, all the nuances. I enjoy taking a record from the rough mix to the final place. And, when people A/B it, I like seeing people's reaction. I like them feeling blown away. I like to make the record the best version of itself. Now, there is something to be said about the creative process, about being in the room with the artist and actually tracking and recording it. I've done a lot of both. I've just mixed for a lot of people, and I've recorded and mixed the records I've done, and I've recorded and sent the records off for mixing as well earlier on in my career. That was the part that used to hurt a bit. Like, oh, I've done all this work and now I got to send it off to someone else, and then there's always ego in play. Like, man, I could have done it better. I could have done it better. But I think where I am right now in my career, I'd say mixing is the most satisfying part of the process. There's a lot of parts of it. There's the artist and the producer, but sometimes there's all this unorganized stuff that be it the label or be it, some random producer you're working with or someone else from the team. When you have to deal with other people's incompetences or stuff like that, it gets annoying. I'm a professional. I've been doing this long enough. I know how to deal with everything. I don't think there's, any part of it. I mean, we're not curing cancer over here. We get to make records for a living. Just every day you get to do that for a living and make money off it, pay your bills off it. It's a blessing. There's no better feeling. That is obviously, since day one, that has been my favorite part. I used to remember like how excited I used to get once in a while I'd hear a record I've done on the radio, or like Hot 97 would play something I've done. nowadays I'm fortunate enough to be a point in my career where if I put the radio on or if I'm listening to just a new playlist or something and it's a 15-minute drive to work for me, and it's very rare that I don't hear something I've worked on in that time. And it's just a blessing, and it just shows the the level of artists I get to work with these days and the level of work I work on. I'm just really blessed to be able to do this. As much as people would like to think, people that we do like to think it's the mix, it's not the mix. The mix just helps it translate better and stuff like that. A good record is a good record. A record that sounds good on a guitar and just a raw vocal, that's going to translate. If you could perform a record with just a guitar or just a piano and vocal, and it still sounds good, it's a good song. That's how you know it'll translate well. With the unknown artists, I feel like that's when there's more on the line. You know, you have to like give it your best all to give them their best chance because this is their child. This is the one thing that's going to make or break them. With the bigger artists, you know, they might have like one record could not do well. They don't care. They'll move on to another one or whatever. But when you're at that startup stage, it's a big deal. I've worked with a lot of indie people in my career. A lot of my friends, like there's a couple of my friends I'm working on their songs right now, and they're starting out their careers. So there's a lot more invested in it, and I'm those records excite me actually. Those are the ones that I'm looking to break an artist. Like Big X wasn't that big of an artist before this album dropped, and he's like now everyone's talking about him after this album. The same thing, I worked with another artist, DC the Don. Same album dropped this past month, and he's also I've been working with him for a few years. I've seen his come up. I've seen how his music has evolved, his fan base has grown. And then even smaller, I'm working with this girl called Alex Stanaj, who's super new, but her music is so good. And so I'm like really excited about that. And another artist I work with, Millie Golightly, she's switched up. She used to be she's done some features for Thug and a bunch of rap records, but now she's changed the whole genre. She's doing alt pop and country records. So I just like being part of people's journey like that. Just it's satisfying. I like hard hitting heavy 808s. So that's the rap side of me, but a very polished vocal. So I like it to have like a almost, I don't want to say pop, but a very, you know, a really good high quality vocal, but still have the 808 knock, have depth to it. Just an overall good sounding quality mix, but still really have that low end push through. I really do spend a lot of time focusing on, you know, getting the low end to be as big as it possibly can without the whole mix bus and the whole mix collapsing. Man, there's no better feeling. I wake up every day happy to go to work. Obviously, there's a lot of stress involved in this job and working with artists, but just to say that, you know, you get to work with these people or just even be in a room with them, be on a first name basis with these superstars, it's just it is very, very satisfying. And then to be able to sit in a room like this, play with these toys and make music, like I mean, I would have done this for free, you know, like that, and to know that I make a living off it and I have a business running off it and I have other people employed by me who are having a living off it, and that I'm running this studio complex, bringing artists in. People under me have now successful engineers. My first assistant, who she was the first person that ever worked with me back in 2009. We started working together. She today is Madonna's engineer. She's worked with Dua Lipa. She's won multiple Grammys. My other assistant, who came right after her, is now Chris Brown's tracking engineer. He's had a very successful career of his own. That's what I really like, because we've run the studio for so long. There's a lot of people that have come up under me and have gone on to do really great things, and our cumulative credits are crazy. So everyone that's come from that umbrella, and like I said, I didn't have a mentor, so like I worked at studios, and it was like whatever I caught from the engineer that I was working with that day. It wasn't like a constant one, but I tried to assist as much as I could. I tried to sit in as many sessions as I could and just learn as much as I could earlier on. So to me, the gratifying thing is the reach, like that the people I've taught and how they've gone on to do amazing things. That is the most satisfying thing. If I were to sit down with my younger self, I'd just say, yo, just It'll eventually click. Just keep doing what you're doing. Keep your head down. Keep learning. Be humble. Don't ever let it get to your head. Just be humble and just keep doing more of the same thing, because everything I did, it did end up paying off in the end. So I would say just keep doing that. Do whatever I did the right thing. Don't stray. Don't get fall off course. The young piece of business advice I would give myself is, like, as much as good as there is good, I've had situations where people closest to me that I've worked with and done business with have cut me out of businesses at the time or whatever, and I've still gone on to work with them and make more money. I make them more money. I think it's knowing when someone is using you, being firm about cutting your losses when it's time, when it's no longer beneficial to you, and there are people that just take and take and take and drain your energy. Know when it's time to cut your losses and move on. It's hard for me to speak on work-life balance when I have been a big proponent of, I have high levels of skills, but the people that I see who last are the people that endure the most, the people that stick around, the people that do it. So for me to comment on it is a bit, I have been the wrong example for a very long time for a lot of people. I have put in all the hours. I have put everything on hold for work. Now I'm at a point in my career where I know that being healthy is so important, because I've seen the toll it's taken on me. That's just something that I just do every day. Like, I have to go work out at the gym, even though I might have done a 20-hour session. I might, be tired. I'm going to wake up. I'm going to get fresh. The first thing I do, I go to get my exercise done out of the way first thing in the morning, so that I have time, so that, I can come back, eat healthy, and then go to the studio. Eating healthy and exercising actually helps me stay up longer in the studio. It helps me focus more. I don't have all these insulin spikes with sugar and stuff like that. I'm completely off all of that. Also, when I'm traveling for work, it helps keep me grounded. It helps maintain some level of balance, because when I go to the gym, I feel like, oh, I'm at home. I get that out of the way, and then I can take on anything. Once I've done that, I'm ready to take on anything. You're already doing something right. You're here. So the fact that you've taken the effort to be a part of a community, to subscribe to something, to get in with something, and all it is information. It's just information. There's nothing wrong or nothing bad. Like, nothing bad can come from taking in more information and learning new different points. If there's something you don't like, don't use it. What Puremix is doing and has been doing for a very, very long time. I've been watching videos on there for a long time. I think I want to say the first video I saw Puremix is I'm going to date myself, but it was definitely over 10 years ago. It was a Mick Gazowski video. I can't remember what year that was, but it was over 10 years ago. I very clearly remember sitting in my studio in New York City on Crosby Street, watching this video and just blown away by how he did VCAs. Just from that day on, I was hooked. And since then, I've been on the platform ever since. Fab's gone from someone I look up to someone I can call my friend now, someone I can call it for the technical question or anything. And what he's done for the community is really great as well, with the AES bashes that he throws, and just being a staple. Like, I've watched his videos explaining the different types of 1176s, or how the pull type works, and his videos with Universal Audio and Luna. And, like, I've been watching his content for a long time, and he just has a really cool way of explaining things that's really stuck with me. And even his cooking videos are cool. All these tools are cool and everything, and the stuff you learn is cool, but also always, like, maintain your own identity. Someone should listen to a mix and be like, oh, yo, yeah, this sounds like something that Bainz did, or this sounds like something that Tizio did. Another really important thing is don't stop caring about what you do. That's really important. Like, you need to really care about this, and, like, know that, okay, this is going out in the world and your name is attached to it. So any flaw in it is gonna be a stain on your career, your discography. I hear records sometimes and I'm like, yo, how did that get through so many people? Like, there'll be a loud, obnoxious click in the hook. So it happens every time the hook comes. I'm like, how did that get past the recording engineer, the mix engineer, the A&R, and the mastering engineer? Small things like that. I'd say just care about it, attention to detail, and also have a good team. Have a good team of people. you are as good as the weakest link in your team. We have a great team, all the way from the managers, Garfield and Jeff, to the artists I work with, to my internal studio team. Arish is a really, really big part of it, way more than an assistant now. We've been together since So Much Fun. He's been with me so over 4 or 5 years now. And then JP, Drew, AJ, just the whole team over here. We're all very collaborative, and we bounce, like, I'll be mixing and I'll call someone and I'm like, yo, sit down, tell me what you think. I don't have too big of an ego to ask other people for their opinion. I also I really like that. I like have one of my friends hanging in the room. I say friends, but we all do the same thing. I'd like having someone hanging out in the room because, like, I love doing collaborative stuff and just working with the team. So I definitely say my team is a big part of what I do.